Good evening and welcome to James Monroe's fourth digitally presented Back to School Night. This year, in order to navigate our informational highway, I have enlisted the help of some of my fifth grade ambassadors who were chosen for their ability to project articulately with a plethora of expression and focus the attention where it should be, on the children of James Monroe School. So I'd like to introduce them to you. We have Cecilia, Krushal, Samarth, Elise, Madeline, Marina, Sanjeev, and Zaides, who will be your guides for this evening. So sit back, relax, and be our guests.
Over the summer, the district paved the way for a much smoother arrival and dismissal by revamping the entire parking lot for our 16 buses. Staff members are here to greet us and lead us to the appropriate lineup areas, assisted by the safety patrols.
Everyone here believes in safety first. So here is tip number 1. If you are dropping off in the morning or picking up in the afternoon, please pull into the parking area on the same side as the school building. No one should ever cross between buses. That's how accidents happen. My second tip is this. If you or another adult is picking up your child at the end of the day, please notify the office and the teacher in writing, making sure to name the person who will be coming to the school. This can be easily handled through email.
Once we are inside, our doors are locked and everyone must ring the bell to be buzzed in by the office.
Tip number 3. Look straight ahead and state your name and the reason for entry, as the cameras will record each transaction. If your child is late for school, you must sign them in with Mrs. Semino, who monitors all visitations and also ensures that tardy students get to their class. You might want to make sure this doesn't happen often, as classes begin promptly at 9:05. At 9 o'clock, 2 fifth graders will officially start off our day as a community by leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, the Peace Pledge, and the singing of a patriotic song. In addition to reading the morning announcements, these students conclude this ritual with an alliterative, sophisticated vocabulary word to describe that particular day of the week. For example, I hope all of you will have an edifying evening as you watch this presentation.
Our day begins with not a moment to spare as we charge to a comprehensive instructional schedule. Let's take a look at my schedule.
Fifth graders start with 90 minutes of reading, followed by 35 minutes of writing. The homeroom teachers will fill you in on the specifics of each academic content this evening, but we'd like to introduce this next 45-minute block referred to as the intervention/enrichment period. During this time, students will have the opportunity to work with Miss Matika, the reading specialist, or Mrs. Shepard, the math specialist. This is great because they are not missing any instructional time during the regular content block and will receive reinforcement of the skills that are necessary to continue growing as readers, writers, and mathematicians. So what are the rest of the kids doing, you might be asking? Well, based on benchmark and DALI assessments, teachers will help us attain a particular skill, reinforce a teaching point, further immerse us in a topic of interest that was touched upon in the curriculum, or actively engage us in some project-based application of a covered concept.
These groups will be fluid and facilitated by every teacher on that grade level. In other words, all of us will benefit in some way by instruction tailored to meet our needs and interests. This may actually become my favorite part of the day.
Another groundbreaking initiative this year is the fact that all students now have technology at their fingertips. Last year, when I was in 4th grade, I was among the first group of 3rd through 5th graders who were given Chromebooks, which could also be taken home. Now, 2nd graders are also using this device, and kindergartners and 1st graders have iPads. All of this enhances and personalizes instruction for every learner.
I know this is a great responsibility, and my parents and I spent time reading through the Mobile Device Student and Parent Handbook posted on the district website before we signed off on the document that was sent home stating that we've read, understand, and agreed to the mobile device policies.
If you would like to learn more about the Chromebook and to maximize its use, classes will be given at all branches of the Edison Public Library. Check out the available dates on the district website and call the main library at 732-287-2298 to register.
5th graders round out their day with math, lunch, and science, wrapping it up with their daily special. Physical education, art, music, or Spanish, all which take place in dedicated spaces outside of their homeroom.
Speaking of lunch, this is the one time of the day when all 5th graders come together as a class and can socialize during recess. However, during the entire time they are supervised by lunch aides, they are mindful of all lunchtime rules and procedures and respectful to everyone, because manners matter at James Monroe.
We must always order lunch a day ahead. So if I want pizza, that's on the menu for Friday. I make sure to mark it when the lunch count is taken on Thursday. If I don't order, or on days when I forget my lunch at home, I receive whatever the cold lunch option is for that day. Chatwell's, a food service provider, also encourages parents to pay online by visiting www.mypaymentplus.com.
At the beginning and end of each day, 5th graders take on a leadership role as safety patrols. The selection process started last spring when we were still in 4th grade. In order to show that we wished to be considered, Miss Duhamel and Mrs. Reef, the safety advisors, presented us with the challenge of keeping a journal about our thoughts, books we read, math problems we tried to solve, just about anything that we wanted to put down on paper. For those of us that chose to participate, the process highlighted our strong sense of responsibility. I'm proud to say that about 50 of my classmates followed through and completed the task.
We help lead the students to their classrooms, bus lines, monitor appropriate bus behavior, and most of all serve as role models, showing that while safety is our first priority, manners matter. In fact, this year, to support both of these endeavors, we will be implementing a Golden Bus Award. Stay tuned for more details.
Before we move on to other aspects of the building, I'd like to introduce you to a brand new program here at James Monroe. This year, we happily welcomed 3 self-contained autistic classrooms to our community. These kindergartners and their teaching staff have brought a high energy level and joy to this school as they participate in the general education curriculum adapted to meet their special needs, including participating in art, physical education, music, and Spanish.
That wraps up the day. So let's look at some of the hot spots around the building, starting with the office, where you'll find Mrs. Hook and Mrs. Cameron keeping all of us, especially Mrs. Epitisney, well managed and organized. The most efficient method of contact is email, using their first and last name, followed by @edison.k12.nj.us.
Here's another tip. Make sure all correspondence is sent on a piece of paper large enough to print the child's full name, teacher's name, and homeroom number. This is especially important when sending money to school, which should always be in a sealed envelope. If your child is being picked up early, make sure the office is notified before noontime by email. Remember, for safety reasons, these requests must be written as it verifies that you have okayed this form of dismissal with the designated person. When calling the office, please listen to all of the prompts and choose the appropriate number. If you have received a call from the school, listen to the message before calling back so you can be connected to the appropriate person. One last tip. Automated messages are sent out as reminders and in emergency situations. Make sure to listen to each in its entirety and always update phone numbers when they change with the office or by going to the parent portal icon on the district website. This site also allows you to check in on your child's progress. This year, James Monroe welcomes our new nurse, Mrs. Zanjarova. Here are her tips for a healthy school year. If you have not yet handed in your physical exam papers, you have until October 2nd to do so. Children must be fever-free for 24 hours without the help of medications, and absences will be excused with a doctor's note. Do not send your child to school if vomiting or diarrhea has occurred the night before, they have a heavy cough, red, itchy eyes, non-allergy related, an undiagnosed rash, or cannot carry on their normal daily routine. Make sure snacks are healthy, and remember, lice happen, but we can help prevent their spread by notifying the nurse immediately so that classmates are examined. Edison has a no-nits policy, and students must be checked by her before re-entry into school is allowed. Mrs. Zanjarova looks forward to meeting all of you and will soon start conducting hearing and vision screenings. Homeroom teachers will be sharing a handout with you with this and other important medical information.
Mrs. Bennett is our guidance counselor. She's there to resolve any issue we might be having and will handle all of your emails and calls about program or personal concerns.
Part of the counselor's role is to run small groups, teach mini lessons on bullying, and coordinate the building INRS committee, which meets to discuss children who may be having difficulty and/or are new to the building to ensure that all of their needs are met. Mrs. Bennett also facilitates the morning announcements. Our PTO supports all of our school functions and helps to subsidize the annual field trips and special events at each grade level. This Friday, September 25th, they kick off the fall season with Harvest Eve, which will be hosted by Edison High School. If you haven't done so already, it's not too late to pre-purchase tickets at a discount for this fun-filled event. Please stop by the PTO tables and find out how you can help make this a terrific year for all of our students. Finally, as you walk around this very large building, I'd like you to think about how hard our custodial staff, under the leadership of Miss Sally Campbell, work on a daily basis to keep it clean and its operation running smoothly. If you happen to pass any of them in the hall, please acknowledge their diligence. I'd like to thank my 5th grade narrators for making my job this year so much easier. So now it's time to turn the evening over to your child's classroom teachers who will fill you in on the rest of the curricular news. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot. You all want to know what this year's school play is, don't you? Well, I guess it's okay to let you in on the secret. This year on November 20th at Edison High School, James Monroe School will present the Disney production of Beauty and the Beast. So just like tonight, I hope you will be our guest for another wonderful evening. Have a good night and find joy in the journey.